Hello, friends. This is Tony Dizant, space rocker of the planet Earth, here with another live streaming today. This is gonna be a special streaming today, so you want to stick around. We're gonna be discussing a historic day, a historic day in the United States. So you want to stick around for this one. Historic day in the United States. And of course, it goes along with what I was saying. Is the system really rigged? That's what I was discussing yesterday. But today, especially for you youngsters out there, it's a lesson in history that you should never forget. I'm going to go ahead and get started right now. I'm going to get started, like always, with the not so real news and the real news. Today is a historic day because for the first time in the history of the United States, a ex-presidential, an ex-president, a former president, was convicted of a crime by a state court. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but not before I give you some of the real news, because there are some real news, and these are very, very, very important that superficially they don't tell you about. I don't know if you guys know about the conflict in Sudan. Sudan. They have had a conflict in Sudan, a war, since April of 23. And it has gotten so out of control that they displaced the people, and now the people are in danger of famine. In danger of famine. So Sudan is in imminent danger, risk, high risk of famine. So the people over there in Sudan, if nobody does nothing about it, and the UN is already taking steps, but the aid is not getting to the people. The humanitarian aid is not getting to the people. So it's another conflict, not as serious as the conflict in Israel and Palestine, but it's still a conflict. It's still a war. And people don't know about it. Most people don't. So, Sudan, this is the real news, is in imminent danger. It's in risk of famine. People are going to start dying of starvation. And like I always have said, this can happen to anyone, because that's all these wars, all these conflicts, all these chaos. Those are the consequences of all this nonsense. Now, in another superficial news, but actually real news, they superficially didn't cover it so you don't see it, but they're real. The US and China defense chiefs have a meeting today in Singapore, and they want to keep military talks open. For those of you who don't understand this, I'm going to explain it to you in black and white. China thinks Taiwan, it owns Taiwan. Taiwan is has his own democracy, has been its own country for a long time. But now China is saying, no, you don't govern yourself. We govern you. And so there's friction. Taiwan has its own military, but Taiwan doesn't want to fight anybody. So they're both of the military, China's military and Taiwan military, are gonna open talks in a different country, Singapore, so that this conflict do not escalate. And we don't want this conflict to escalate because, mainly because of economic reasons. I don't know if you guys know, but most of the superconductors are made in Taiwan. So we don't want any trouble there. You remember in the pandemic, there was a chip shortage. The chips that makes the cars run, and the computers and the tablets and everything else, those are made in Taiwan mainly. They're gonna start be making them over here, but that's in the process. That has not has had it's just starting over here. And most of the people over here don't even have a clue on what a semiconductor is, let alone making them. So we as a nation are involved over there because of economic reasons. We want to protect Taiwan from China because of economic reasons. And this if this would escalate to a full-out war, which we don't want that to happen, then there's going to be a lot of problems, especially with the global economy. Not only the economy of the United States, the global economy. So these two things, Sudan is in imminent danger of famine, and the U.S. and the China chiefs, whatever that means, defense chiefs. I didn't know they had chiefs over there, but okay, whatever. They're in open talks, military to military, so that we don't escalate a conflict. Now, China is calling the provocations powerful punishment. China holds military drills around Taiwan, and they call those powerful punishments. Why do they think they have to punish Taiwan? That's a good question. Anybody has an answer for that? Please comment. Please let me know in the comments. But for what we are here today, let's get on the topic of the day. The United States makes history today. It makes history today because of the first time in history, there has been a ex-president convicted of a crime. Now, just like the superficial news, just like the show, just like the fake news, just like what they want you to believe, they have the answer before the question. What I mean by that, they knew, they already knew this. They knew that this presidential candidate is not going anywhere. They knew this, just like a fellow comedian. You know this, man. They knew it because they have the answer before the question. The Constitution says in order to be a presidential candidate of the United States, to be elected for president, you have to have three requirements. You have to be 35 years old. You have to be a natural born citizen. And also you have to live in the United States. That's including Hawaii. And you remember that dilemma for 14 years or more. Joy to the world. Every day I give thanks. Joy to the world. So all you need to be is 35 years old. You have to be a normal, natural born citizen. Yeah, you could be abnormal too, I guess. But you have to be normal and a natural born citizen, maybe. The norm, I don't know about the normal part. And you have to live 14 years in the United States. They knew this before. It doesn't say anything about if you get convicted, if you get put in jail. It doesn't say anything about if you're a crook. It doesn't say anything about if you're a liar. It doesn't say anything about anything else. So they knew the answer before they had the question. And they knew that a presidential candidate, a nominee for the president of the United States, cannot be not run because of anything else. The man's 35 years old. He had lived here most of his life. And he definitely a natural born citizen. Because I don't even know where he was born, but I would imagine it was New York. And what an irony that is. The same people that saw that lady give birth, to this individual, the same people of the people, right there in New York City, New York State, are the ones that are trying to convict the former president. That shows you what kind of a country we're living in. So this definitely is the not so real news, the fake news. So anybody that is ready to have a party, like a let's put him in jail party, which I don't recommend, you better hold your horses. Okay? Why? Because it may never happen. And it may never happen because it's not written in the Constitution. Just because. Just because. So I know some people are very excited about this news, and I know some people hate it. But we will have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Now, of course, I'm not going to give you any solutions to this because, like I said, the solution would be to not even look at it. It's a show, it's an entertainment, it's something superficial. But if you want to pay attention to it, and if you want to follow along with the shenanigans, then this is what you have to do. You have to stay put and see the things for what they are. It's a state conviction, a state conviction. And the actual president of the United States cannot do anything about it because he doesn't have jurisdiction. He doesn't have power. This is not a federal case. Okay? So it's a state conviction. The only person that has anything to say about this is actually the actual governor of New York City. For those of you that don't understand this real thing that's happening, this historic day in the United States, I believe it should have never happened because of one thing, because they had the answer before they had the question. If you have an answer to something, you don't need to ask. You know what the outcome is going to be. See? Like if you say 4, you don't have to ask 2 times 2. That's as simple as I could put it, I guess. For all you math geniuses out there, if you have 4, why are you going to ask 2 times 2? And I tell you what, the Sudan news, people dying of starvation. Not only there, there's a whole bunch of places where people are struggling, people are hungry. But that made the superficial news, the things they don't want you to see, and the Taiwan conflict, which they don't want it to escalate, but it's already a conflict because, of course, China is saying they have a powerful punishment for them. I want somebody to explain me why they have a powerful punishment for the Taiwan people. My heart goes out to all the Taiwan people out there. I have a bunch of friends in Taiwan. They listen to my music. They love my music. I have a bunch of friends that I've talked to in Taiwan. And I know those are real peaceful people. They don't want no conflict. They just want to keep progressing, keep making those semiconductors, and keep making Taiwan great. So my hat goes off to you, all the Taiwan people. I want to give a shout out to all my Taiwan friends. I got a bunch of them out there. Anyways, this tells you right here that this historic day goes out to be a lesson to be learned. You cannot call this a historic day if you had the answer to the question. But if you didn't know the answer, that's on you. That's on you because you didn't know the answer. But if you knew the answer, you didn't need the question. So, historic? No, this is not historic. You might think it's historic, but I don't think so. And I know so. With this one, I want to say thank to all the people, all my friends out there, all my fans out there that listen to my music and watch my videos. I know who you are, and I really appreciate it. This is Tony Dizant, space rocker of the planet Earth, still living in this beautiful planet called Earth. Today, with the topic of Historic Day in the United States. I don't think so.